In the very beginning, when the world was fresh and new, God created everything. He made the sun to warm the earth, the stars to light the night sky, and the oceans to teem with life. He filled the earth with plants and animals of every kind, each one perfect and full of purpose. And then, as the crowning touch, God created humans. The first man was Adam, and later, God made Eve to be his companion. Together, they were the first people to walk the earth. God placed them in a special home called the Garden of Eden. This wasn't just any garden, it was a paradise. The trees were heavy with fruit, rivers flowed with crystal clear water, and animals of every kind roamed freely. There was no danger, no fear, no pain. Everything was perfect. Adam and Eve had everything they could ever need. They walked and talked with God himself, enjoying his presence. And because God loved them, he gave them something very important: the freedom to choose. He didn't want them to follow him like robots. He wanted them to love him by choice. To test their trust and obedience, God gave them one rule. He said, "You are free to eat from any tree in the garden, but you must not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. For if you eat from it, you will surely die." It wasn't a harsh rule. It was a way for Adam and Eve to show their trust in God's wisdom and love. For a while, everything was wonderful. Adam and Eve enjoyed the garden, cared for the animals, and lived in harmony with each other. But one day, a new voice entered the scene. A serpent, crafty and cunning, slithered up to Eve. Now, this wasn't an ordinary snake. It was Satan, the enemy of God, using the serpent to speak. The serpent asked Eve, "Did God really say you can't eat from any tree in the garden?" Eve answered, "We can eat from the trees in the garden, but God told us not to eat from the tree in the middle of the garden. He said if we eat from it, or even touch it, we will die." The serpent smiled slyly and said, "You won't die. God knows that if you eat it, you'll be like him, knowing good and evil." Eve looked at the tree and the fruit on its branches. It was beautiful, and the serpent's words stirred her curiosity. She thought, "Why wouldn't God want me to be wise? Maybe this fruit isn't so bad after all." She reached out, plucked a piece of fruit, and ate it. Then she gave some to Adam, and he ate it too. In that moment, everything changed. Their eyes were opened, just as the serpent had said, but not in the way they expected. They didn't feel wiser or closer to God. They felt something new and terrible: guilt. For the first time, they realized they were naked, and they were ashamed. They quickly sewed leaves together to cover themselves. Later that day, God came to the garden. Usually Adam and Eve would run to meet him, but this time they hid among the trees. God called out, "Where are you?" Adam replied, "I heard you in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked. So I hid." God asked, "Who told you that you were naked? Did you eat from the tree I commanded you not to eat from?" Adam pointed at Eve. "The woman you gave me, she gave me the fruit, and I ate it." Eve pointed at the serpent. "The serpent tricked me, and I ate." God listened, but their excuses didn't change the fact that they had disobeyed. Their choice to eat the fruit had broken the trust between them and God, and it introduced sin into the world. God explained the consequences of their actions. The serpent would be cursed to crawl on its belly and would forever be an enemy to humanity. Eve would experience pain in childbirth, Adam would have to work hard to grow food, and the earth would no longer provide for them easily. And one day, they would die. But even in this moment of judgment, God's love was clear. He didn't leave them in their shame. He made garments from animal skins to clothe them, a sign of his care and mercy. And he gave them a promise, a glimmer of hope. God said that one day a descendant of Eve would crush the serpent's head, defeating evil forever. Then God sent Adam and Eve out of the garden. It was a heartbreaking moment. The paradise they had known was gone, and they would have to face a harder, more challenging world. But they were not without hope. God had not abandoned them, and his plan to restore everything was already in motion. Adam and Eve's story isn't just about them. It's about all of us. Like them, we face choices every day. Will we trust God's wisdom? Or will we go our own way? Their story reminds us of the serious consequences of sin, but it also reveals something even greater: God's unchanging love and His desire to bring us back to Him. Even when we make mistakes, God's mercy is always there. His love never fails, and He offers us the chance to choose Him again and again. Help us spread the word of God by sharing these videos, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more content.